What you are witnessing here is the ultimate convergence of two Warcraft geniuses who have used their years of wall jumping and out-of-bounds exploration to reach a spot that I, a prop hunter, will never be able to reach, sealing their victory and leading them even closer to obtaining the highly coveted B mount. But then I leaped on them like a freak and ended their dreams of getting that B, and this is only the beginning of the nightmare. Welcome to DECOR Duel, dear viewer, the closest thing to prop hunt in WoW. And I didn't know I was going to say this already, but I am in hell. And I know what you're already going to ask. What did I say? The closest thing to prop hunt, when this is clearly WoW's prop hunt. Well, for me to answer that, let me tell you a story of a cube. I love building my house on WoW. It is probably my new favorite pastime. Look at this cool bar I built. We have it all here. We got gluten-free, we got halal, we got kosher, you got your Pinot Noirs and your fine wines, and we even have a single vintage vial of 2019 Gamer Girl mouthwater. However, for me to really set the vibe of my house down correctly, I want this giant fucking cube that for some reason comes out of DECOR Duel. Okay, it only costs like 10 coins. It's like one match. Go do it. But if you've seen any other video on my channel before, you know that is not enough for me. I want a mount too. Even though this B mount looks like this, every time that I raise my mount collection number, I get a small dopamine hit that is rapidly having diminishing returns. I digress though, because we are here to play DECOR Duel and get these items. But you see, I made a grave mistake. I thought DECOR Duel was gonna be a fun, silly, whimsical time where I could hide out and chill. But like all things Midnight, I should have expected the vibe coding and lack of foresight put into this event. DECOR Duel is not like any prop hunt that I've ever played before. The best way to liken it is that I am a monkey hiding in a piñata, hiding with the candy, hoping that the kids won't look inside of the piñata, but all the children have now equipped sulfurous instead of a baseball bat. Fundamentally, DECOR Duel is the most hostile version of prop hunt that I have ever played. Hunters have no restrictions on their abilities to hit and kill. Props are one shot, one tap, and for some ungodly reason, this game mode chooses not to obey the law of physics. Nothing is on the global cooldown, and if you have an original spot, it will not be yours for long. You are hearing only a fraction of my thoughts, but to stop this from becoming an in-depth review and rather a hands-on experience that you, dear viewer, can live vicariously through, I have a small journey of trying to get this mount, and more importantly, my cube. My first real game of prop hunt started off with trying to play prop hunt like it was intended. I found a spot that looked convincing, took a seat, and was waiting for the timer to run out. However, you were actually punished for sitting still and trying to hide as a prop in the game mode dedicated to hiding as a prop by showing everyone that you are actually really stinky, and now that attracts pests. These flies are present everywhere, and in 99% of cases, they are what give you away. Behold, my turn as a hunter here. I gave this prop an honest-to-God opportunity to escape and try to live another day. But that's not how this game mode works, because all it takes is a single leap and a slap that are not tied to the global cooldown to kill them instantly. Like I said, the prop is a monkey in the piñata, and now, as a hunter, I have a shotgun. Now that I've given you an idea of the torments we face, let me introduce you to the second part of this torture chamber. The players of prop hunt are mixed into three separate groups. Firstly, bee enthusiasts. People who want to buy their B mount and are actively being tortured through DECOR Duel's nightmarish gameplay. You can firmly count me as a part of this group. The second group is a very common group of people who just want to try the mode out, but due to the game mode being made out of paper mache and wet noodles, no one seems to genuinely know what the fuck they're supposed to be doing here. And the third group is made of sadomasochistic fucks who are actually deeply in love with this game mode. And if you are in this group, you might actively be hostile to both other groups. Let me show you my brief interaction with one member of this group. After being tilted from a series of bullshit deaths and discoveries in a row, I was congratulating this fine player for escaping DECOR Duel, and upon mentioning the torture chamber, I was attacked.
Go die, Death Knight.
I'm not sure if I like people calling me Death Knight like it's a slur. Following this, my next several games are learning the hard way that abilities are not tied to the global cooldown, and that somehow spell bashing still exists in the game. Now, you get around 30 to 40 coins a game, and our wonderful B mount costs a whopping 500. But before we can even spend that, we have to buy every ability in the game to actually unlock them. However, you may notice that I am not getting a consistent amount of coins, and that's because for some ungodly reason, there are bonuses that I am not sure what actually decides the amount of coins. The scoring system is straight up nonsensical, as you can see in this glorious victory of mine. These numbers don't add up. For those who cannot understand the numbers, I will explain for you. My team only lasted 100 seconds, in comparison to the enemy team lasting 158 seconds. This is almost a full minute difference in terms of the scoring, but as you can see here, we acquired 7 tags, while they could only tag 6 of us. Oh, do you smell that scent in the air? The one that smells like burning? Ah yes, the vibe coding has returned. because there are 7 people on my team, and when the game started, it chose not to include one of them. But despite not peering and counting towards the game, the internal logic of the vibe code must have dictated that our 7th player was still really around when the game ended. Their choice to not include this individual gave me a solid victory, and for some reason, an excellence bonus. Also, I keep getting credits for everyone else's tags in my monthly journal, so that's neat. A few games later, I found out that sometimes the hunter's abilities just don't work. As you can see here by my attempts to reveal this one dude 6 times point blank. And boy, how lucky was I that it only took me 7 full orbs to fly through him before it could count him as found. But as unfortunate as that may seem, sometimes when hiding, orbs can also randomly discover you, even if you don't feel like they should. Now, you've heard my feelings about this game mode, and I admit, I do have some negative feelings about this mode, but I am keeping myself to a minimum so you can understand the experience I went through. But what you are not hearing is the experiences and the voice of the community who finds themselves stuck in the same operatic tale as me. Almost every game I have entered, I would try to break the ice to start getting people's opinions. Hello, friends. How is everyone doing today? Okay, maybe that was a little too formal. Let me try again. How are we feeling, boys? Question mark. Damn, dude, this is a tough crowd. I'm gonna try being a little bit more direct next time. Is anyone playing this for fun, or is this purely just grinding?
I must have B.
Most people playing this game stayed silent despite my best efforts. But if you want to see the community's opinion online, you can just Google DECOR Duel and look up how the community is really feeling about this. Every 5 minutes, a prop dies due to Blizzard's negligence. They are left out to rot and taken out by vicious predators. With your help, we can stop this for good. All we need is for you to like and subscribe, and we can end violence against props for good. I did end up having some favorite spots eventually anyways, like these trees in the air. That is genuinely an RNG check if the game is going to let you jump over to them today. I, on several different occasions, fell off after barely tapping a key, which every time, I had to panic and figure something else out, and only on one of those attempts did it turn into something fun. But remember, fun is the anathema of this game mode. You are not here for fun, you are here for torment, misery, and suffering by playing a game mode that has ignored every version of prop hunt that has ever came before it. There's a moment where you actually start to have fun, but then you remember, this fuck-ass game mode's vibe coding allows hunters to keep their class between games. But props? Oh no. They have to hit their trap of choice every game, and that little shenanigan caused me to die one too many times. As you can see here, I was sitting on top of the bushes, and I was actively trolling this Tauren. If Blizzard had let me keep my abilities between games, I could have had 2 options to live here. I could have used my smoke and mirrors ability to make the Tauren think that I jumped down when I really only moved to a second floating tree. Or I could have stunned the Tauren, jumped down, and hit smoke and mirrors to successfully juke them out and get back to hiding somewhere different. But the vibes determined that I would start off with the songbird decoy instead. And before you ask, the decoy is useless. All it is a decoy prop that whistles, and that's it. But out of the 4 abilities, there are only 2 traps that are actually useful, Smoke and Mirrors and the Sand Trap. And remember, all you need to do is leap like a freak at someone, and their trap has become meaningless. There is also a 4th trap as well, the Void Sphere, that requires an intense setup process to use meaningfully, but in a game mode where creativity is punished, the Void Sphere serves as a wasted ability. There is another thing I noticed, hunters can just hit you through walls. Behold, someone who was inspired by my completely original idea that I did not take from a YouTube tutorial already, and despite everything, I could punch him through a damn bush. DECOR Duel is suffering incarnate, and I had crash outs in the middle of these games that would make you think I was doing 3s against a Frost Mage sub-rogue combo. Wait, what's the fucking point? I just fucking get hit by that and I don't get fucking white. What? What's the fucking point? What's the point of stunning people if they can still hit you while they're stunned? But if you're willing to suffer through 26 full matches of DECOR Duel, you can get your cube, some extra furniture, and after suffering through a multi-billion-dollar company's lazy excuse for a game mode that has remained easily adaptable for every other game in the world, you can get this ugly B-mount. And once again, I got my diminishing return of a dopamine hit, and yeah. Returning to my home, I put the cube in the middle of the room at max size in my future trophy room. Damn, that looks good. Now that you've got to live vicariously through me, and now that I am also away from this godforsaken game mode, I'm going to give you my brutally honest feelings about this, because it's not fair for me to shit on DECOR Duel without giving honest feedback and criticism. As you can see, I am putting my journalism degree to good use in this video, because I have to show ethics, and as I said earlier, I have never played a more hostile version of prop hunt in my life, and I have played too many forms of prop hunt across so many different games. I have to ask this question here and now. Why did Blizzard want to try and reinvent the wheel for prop hunt? The beauty of this mode is its simplicity, and that changes to the formula cannot disrupt player balance. Despite prop hunt revolving around the idea of hunting and killing props, almost every other form of the game gives the props way more power to survive such an assault, because naturally, props are squishy. Different games show that power balance in different forms. In Gmod, props can be really hard to hit, or in Witchit, props have access to a bunch of different powers that actively impede hunter progress. The fundamental issue of DECOR Duel lies in that the props have no real means to defend themselves, and that the hunters have no restrictions on what they can and cannot do. They are not limited by mobility or health bars, but purely by an energy bar that regenerates too fast and with abilities that only cost pennies at most. Even if we disregard the overwhelming power imbalance of the hunters, we have to address the inferior power of the prop. They have only 1 HP, they get punished for hiding, and they are significantly slower than the hunters in question. The fact that at 25 seconds remaining, everyone gets revealed is insane, but the power imbalance isn't just in their skill set, it's the fundamental flaw of the game mode. There are an even number of hunters to props. If you go to any other game, you will always find a ratio of 1 to 2 or 1 to 3 between the hunters and the props. By having an equal number of hunters to props, the hunters need to have some sort of major flaw or a weakness that makes it hard to deal with props, but tragically, they just don't have one. If you want to ignore all of the power imbalance, the issue comes down to WoW's prop hunt design being flawed at its core. Everything is stuck on a single plane essentially. If I was on Gmod, I can kinda jump myself up onto a ledge, and this does cause a small balance issue, where, would you believe it, hunters cannot shoot or reach it, but as a countermeasure, hunters have their ability to use their noob tube once a game to fix that problem. But in WoW, the hunters can jump up there with a single ability and essentially have infinite noob tubes that they are not punished for using. However, the noob tube comes with a serious drawback of being able to kill you if you use it without thinking. But in WoW, thought isn't required because you have an ability that takes you across the map with absolutely zero drawbacks, particularly when you can chamber that ability into a slap that will one-shot every prop. And now, to wrap up this very serious review and get back to being a comedy channel, I will leave it at this. DECOR Duel is a fundamentally flawed game mode that Blizzard should be genuinely ashamed of releasing in any form. Even the Twitter integration patch of Warlords of Draenor was genuinely more promising content than DECOR Duel, and that is the most scathing criticism I can think of. And now, I go back off into the world, go do something else instead of playing this fuck-ass game mode. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoy watching my suffering. I'll see you guys next video. Bye!